Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. This is your Wish Fulfilled on YouTube. We are back with another classroom teaching, okay? And as you can tell from the title of the video, we are going to be talking about the hard stuff, all right? And this is particularly going to be helpful if you are at this point in time actually feeling devastated, okay? Which, you know, devastation it usually stems from a sense of loss. It usually is, it's the precursor to grieving. And it's usually, you know, devastation is usually the result of what you perceive to be a pretty significant loss in your life, okay? In this specific video, we're going to be hitting it from an angle of, you know, a breakup, possibly the feeling of losing an SP to a third party, anything that is going to bring up that feeling state of devastation. Okay, so what I have here, you guys, for those of you that are brand new to my channel, this is something called the map of consciousness. It's basically just a sheet with a whole bunch of different emotions, feeling states on them, okay? As you can see down here at the bottom half of the map, it's where things get really heavy emotionally. The farther you move up, you know, things feel a lot better, okay? You get towards up the very top of the map and you're just kind of in a blissed out state. If you're curious at all about the map of consciousness, just Google it, maybe look it up on YouTube. It is from a man who passed back in 2012. His name was Dr. David R. Hawkins, and he explains this very well. And then we have, what's interesting about this is it gives you, they call it a log, but this basically is kind of like the power. And me being someone who's very interested in manifestation and stuff like that, I can see, you know, being very familiar with how law of assumption works, law of attraction, all of that stuff, I can see how it's going to be a lot difficult to manifest your desires when you're down here at the very bottom half of the map, and how, you know, as you climb up in feeling states and states of being, a state of being is basically, you know, feeling states come and go. We all have default feeling states though, where we, you know, it doesn't matter, like if our default feeling state is going to be kind of up here in courage, then, you know, we might have things happen in our life that might pull us down into, you know, the more difficult, challenging feeling states, but we always end up back up to our default feeling state, okay? Some of us have default feeling states down here, you know, shame, guilt, apathy, and sometimes we're able to escape and feel some relief in some of the better feeling states. But if your default feeling state is down here, you'll notice that things start to occur in your 3D reality that trigger you to feel and bring your feeling state or your energy back down to whatever your default state is. So yeah, we're talking about devastation, but the work in the process I'm going to get ready to talk to you about, you guys, cleans up and helps you to reset your default feeling state anywhere that you really want it to be. You can go as high as you want to go. One of the things that I talk to people a lot about is as you're manifesting, okay, as you are consciously manifesting, you're consciously putting your intentions out into, you know, the quantum field of possibilities. A lot of the times what people experience is very shortly after, the things will start to pop up in 3D that are like the exact opposite, you know, and I mean like the next day or a couple of days later. I mean, it's almost instantaneous, right? And all that's happening, you guys, is those unexpected 3D manifestations that go against what you had, the intention that you set out into, you know, the quantum field of possibilities or the universe, whatever you want to call it, is pushing to the forefront of your conscious mind what has been blocking you, okay? It's showing you what your default feeling state is, and it's triggering to the surface of your conscious mind, because as long as something is hidden in the subconscious, it can't be cleared. when something, as long as something stays hidden in the subconscious, there's no ability to clear it out. It's only when something goes from the subconscious and it's pulled into the conscious awareness. Once it's in your conscious awareness, you can start to dismantle and deflate and dissolve and clear that energy out. That's why things happen in the 3D the way that they do. You're not being punished, although I know that it feels like that's how it could be. Like, you're not being punished. Like if your SP is in a third party situation and you just found out about it, or something's developing between you and your SP, or your SP and the third party, and it's just you're feeling devastated, you're not being punished. Okay, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are already realizing that, but it doesn't stop you from having a real visceral emotional reaction to what is happening in 3D. Okay, consciously, intellectually, you understand you're not supposed to be, paying too much attention to 3D reality and what's happening in 3D. That doesn't stop the emotion from surfacing, right? And we're going to talk in a moment why that is. And it is because, mind and thought-based energy, it is an energy. And then you have another energy called emotional heart-based energy. Okay, they're both energies, but they are completely different. They function different. What works with mind-based energy does not work with emotion-based energy. So even though intellectually you understand, right, that things are happening in the 3D, to kind of show you as a guidepost what might be blocking your manifestation from coming in, that doesn't stop the emotional charge from coming up to be dealt with. It doesn't stop you from feeling a certain kind of way. So what do you do with that certain kind of way once it comes up? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're just focusing on this process that I talk about. You guys, works for whatever you're feeling. It doesn't have to be exclusive for devastation, but I am noticing, especially in this community where people are hyper focused on manifesting SPs back, that's typically the hurdle, is feeling states being drudged up by SPs not manifesting back in, communication with SPs not manifesting, or SPs doing whatever with third parties, or SPs want to keep their options open. There's a whole lot of difficult and challenging feeling states that come up as a result, because that's what has been keeping you from experiencing your manifestation with your SP from the jump, right? Like, if you were programmed, or if you were already in a default state to enjoy harmonious union with your SP, you wouldn't be here wanting to manifest an SP, right? You'd be with them right now. There's something going on with you subconsciously, though, that is keeping that from happening, that has been keeping that from happening. This may even be a pattern of yours that you're noticing. This may not be the only SP, whether you call them an SP or not, that you notice, where you're having the same dynamics happen over and over and over again. Okay, so stick with me here on this channel. If you're new, make sure you are subscribing and hitting that notification button, because this is really where we get rid of all of that mess. Okay, yes, techniques are wonderful. Learning how to reframe things and change your thought patterns and stuff, all of that is wonderful. It's needed, and it's like one half of the equation. Okay, your emotional state is going to be really where the heavy lifting is going to be done. And if you learn how to do this, you guys, your life is going to be so easy. So easy. Okay, so give me a minute, you guys. We're going to take it to, it's classroom time. Okay. Some people here that are not new to my channel love these styles of, love it when I break out the classroom style. Okay, so we're going to talk about relief from devastation. All right, so let's get this up, y'all. I got a new phone with a new camera, so everything should be crisp and clear. Okay, so we got relief from devastation. That's what we're working on today, you guys. So for those of you that are brand new, you've never been here before, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, okay, there's a process that I talk about on every single, well, I don't talk about it. I actually do. I bring it up in almost every single video that I have on this channel. It's called Releasing the Wants, okay? And releasing the wants is a process where it's going to be how you actually clear out the emotional charge or the emotional trigger. All right, it's how you're going to charge this energy that you are feeling and experiencing as devastation. Okay, that video is linked in the description box below. I highly suggest, if you have not watched it, please pause this video first. Okay, go check out that video, and I'm going to go over the steps here of what the process is, but your mind needs to understand it, okay? Your ego needs to understand how, what, when, where, and why, so that you'll be able to really latch on. It's just like your mind needs to know. If your mind doesn't get it and doesn't understand, more than likely you're going to end up dismissing something that is going to help transform and change your life for the ultimate better, okay? Because let's talk about devastation, okay? And how most people, when they are brand new to this work, brand new to emotions, not even having to be brand new to the law of assumption, but most people don't know how to deal with emotions properly, okay? So emotional energy, like I said, is completely different from mind-based thought energy. And if you try to approach emotional energy in the same way as mind-based, thought-based energy, you're going to end up making things worse, okay? You make that emotional charge more intense, more visceral. Yeah, and we often, because we don't know any better, we are under the illusion that if we allow ourselves to rest in that feeling of devastation without trying to change it, manipulate it, fix it, correct it, things like that, we're going to be stuck feeling this way forever. Because we've also been programmed to believe, which is a very self-limiting belief, okay, that the only way you can get relief from devastation is by re-securing whatever it is that was lost, okay? See, you're believing that the reason why you're feeling devastation is because your SP is with a third party, with another woman or another man, or what have you, however they might they might identify, but that's not the case, okay? As you get familiar with my work and you get familiar with my channel, what you'll start to understand is devastation has always been in your energy. It's always been there, which is why things are happening in the 3D to have you feel this way, okay? So we're going to get more into it. All right, so first, for those of you who are new, we're going to talk about feeling states, but first you need to know what a feeling state actually is, okay? So a feeling state is two things. It is thought charged by, or I said charged with an emotion, charged with an emotion. I often say it's a thought with an emotional charge attached. That's what a feeling state is. Most people, when they think of a feeling state, they only think about emotion, because emotion, this is really the strongest energy. When it comes to what you're manifesting, okay, like, when Neville says that feeling is a secret, it absolutely is, because feeling isn't just emotion, okay? Feeling isn't just applying your five senses. Feeling is having a thought and then charging it with a, a corresponding emotion, okay? A feeling state is thought and emotion. But here's the thing. When you think about a GPS, right? What a thought basically is the destination. Where are you aiming? Where are we aiming the vehicle, right? But without fuel, which in this case would be emotion, you're never going to get there. And depending on how much fuel you have and how fast you're able to go, It's emotion that powers that's the powering mechanism. Okay, thoughts are important, but they're not the end all be all. Okay, and it can be cyclical. They're definitely needed. Okay, but they're not the most important thing. In fact, you'll notice that it is the emotional part of this equation that is either leaving you feeling overjoyed or leaving you feeling like crap. It's the emotional charge right here. Okay. So now that we've talked about that, now we need to talk about attachments and aversions. And attachments and aversions, you guys, are going to be basically, that's really the source of all suffering. I should say toxic attachments. All right. Hyper attachments and hyper aversions. I'll put hyper right here. Hyper attachments or toxic attachments and hyper aversions. Okay. So when you think about a hyper attachment to something, you got to think about things in terms of energy. There's nothing wrong with desiring something. Not at all. There gets a point in something, though, when you get into the energy of lust and craving, which you can see down here. Where is it at? There's lust and craving. Oh, right here. Okay. And even here, it's like there's, you know, I don't understand the nuances of it. But when you get down here to craving something, needing it, in other words, without it, you're unable to enjoy your life. Okay. Of course, you can go down here, like, you know, when you lose something, when you feel like there's no hope in securing it, like when you feel like there's no hope in getting your SP back, that's when you start tanking. Your energy levels start tanking. You get into grief, apathy, guilt, shame. Sometimes you can barely get out of bed, right? There's nothing wrong inherently with you wanting your SP, not at all. But what is making your life, what is making you feel the sense of devastation is coming from a sense of, it's both of these. You have hyper attachments to your SP, and then you have hyper aversions that are related to your SP as well. Okay. And so what this process does is it comes in here and it balances this back out so that, you know, is there a desire to manifest your SP back in? Sure. You know, who doesn't want to experience, you know, feeling states that are more on this higher level, right? Who doesn't want to experience love and acceptance and joy and peace and, you know, all of this other stuff, right? The thing is, though, is what you have to understand, and the lie that we have all been believing for the longest time, is that in order for us to feel these things, that our 3D has to be looking a certain kind of way. This is the vicious circle. All of you who are familiar with Neville Goddard and the law of assumption usually are by now familiar with the phrase, everyone is you pushed out, right? When you completely start to understand that, then you realize that your 3D is simply reflecting what is going on inside of you right now. Okay, but a lot of us haven't really grasped that concept, haven't had, like, intellectually we know it, but there hasn't been that revelation where we are like it's really something that's, you know, like we really fully grasp it. Otherwise, when you grasp everyone as you push out, what that has you do then is you change your mind about trying to change your 3D, and you start to change what's inside of you that is causing 3D to look like that. I hope that's making sense, okay? So the lie is that you are needing your SP in order not to feel devastated. The lie is that you're needing your SP in order to feel loved, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel alive inside, in order to feel connected, not abandoned and stuff like that. That's the lie. I know it can be difficult for those of you that are in the thick of feeling devastated right now. Just stick with me, please, okay? If it'll help you, I'll let you know. I'm speaking and I'm teaching to you guys from a place of very personal and intimate experience. Nothing that I'm talking to you about comes from just me learning things in a classroom. Everything that I teach you, I have actually gone through myself. I've been devastated. pretty much my entire life until I came to, this awareness and how to master my own feeling states and, what comes up emotionally and how to master triggers once they come up. Okay. I've been devastated, you guys. Before I came across this process and I, really put things into use and I learned how to reframe thoughts and stuff like that and get into the subconscious and clear out old negative programming and put in new stuff. But before that, before I became conscious, I was unconscious for a very long time. I was stuck on a guy that I was with for 2.5 years. And when we broke up, it took me 8 years to get over this person. Okay. I was devastated over the loss of that relationship for 8 years. Not because this person was this, I mean, I'm not saying he's not an amazing person, but there is nobody on planet Earth worth feeling devastated over. I mean, we're talking about a different kind of loss here. We're not talking about somebody transitioning on from their earthly plane. We're just talking about losing a relationship, right? And there's no reason why it should have taken me that long. The only reason why it didn't was because I was just staying stuck and sucked into a toxic attachment to this person and toxic aversion to not being with them. I didn't know then what I know now. I didn't know this process here. Okay. So please trust me when I tell you, I know how you feel. I know from very personal and intimate experience what devastation feels like. Okay. I know what it feels like when you're feeling kicked in the gut, punched in the stomach, having the wind knocked out of you and not being able to breathe. I know how that feels. Trust me. Okay. Just stick with me. We are going to get relief for you. Okay. But you have to, it may require you guys to kind of put to the side any other teachings, especially from people in this specific community, because a lot of them are just coming from a space of mind-based energy because they don't know how feeling states, the emotional part of the feeling state works. And so rather than try and figure it out or whatever, they just completely say emotions don't count, just pay attention to mind-based energy. And that can work if you don't have a hyper attachment or a hyper aversion being triggered. Okay. Those of you that have found this video usually by now know that there comes a certain point you'll hit on something that is so strong and so raw, and it is so deeply rooted that it doesn't matter what you throw at it in terms of, mental things, affirmations, thoughts, and reframing things. It doesn't touch it because there's a whole other kind of energy that's at work here that's being neglected, right? That's being resisted. And the effed up thing about that, you guys, is when it's being resisted, it's making that attachment or that aversion stronger. All right, so we're going to deal with that now. Okay, we're going to teach you how to do that. So an attachment to something is going to be that feeling when you are white knuckling, holding on to something so hard, right? You need it. You can't be without it. And the thought of losing it, just, you can't even, there's cognitive dissonance. You can't even fathom having a life without it. Okay. That is a hyper attachment. On the flip side of that, we have hyper aversions, and we're talking about things that you are trying to push away from yourself with all your force. Okay. So usually, you guys, and this is why we can tend to feel so tired all the time, because we have there's this constant push and pull, because when you are hyper attached to something, on the opposite side of that spectrum, there is also a hyper aversion, okay, that is connected to that somehow. So we'll talk about that. Let's talk about feeling devastated because your SP is now with a third party, okay? So a hyper attachment to your SP might be you are hyper attached to the need for your SP to choose you. Okay, that is a hyper attachment. We'll talk about where that is, where that stems from and why that's there here in a second. On the flip side of that, at the same time, you have a hyper aversion to maybe feeling abandoned by your SP. So on one side of the coin, you are holding so tight to this need, as tightly as you can, to have to this need of feeling chosen by your SP, right? And then on the other side of that coin, there's at the same time a part of you that is violently, forcefully pushing away this feeling of abandonment that is resulting from them being with someone else. Okay, so there's a lot of energy that you are using up just in this one area. You are using a lot of your creative energy. A lot of your creative energy is tied up to white knuckle holding on to this attachment, and then with all your force and might, trying to push and force something, like to create as much distance between you and what it is you're not wanting to feel. There's a lot of your energy being tied up here. Okay, and I say your creative energy as in your manifesting energy. It's a push and pull. So you've got, so when you have a hyper attachment, there is also a hyper aversion, okay, towards the same issue. It's like the yin and yang, right? Okay, so as far as when we talk about extreme attachments and extreme aversions, okay, they're connected. What forms an extreme attachment or an extreme aversion is the emotional charge. So this is why sometimes, you guys, you can come up against a really crappy feeling state. You can throw some positive affirmations, you can rampage, and you're able to get back to where you want to be. You can get back to feeling better, right? The reason why that is, you guys, is because there wasn't really that much of an attachment or an aversion to what was going on. The emotional charge wasn't that strong. So just handling things at a thought-based level worked, okay? There are some times in some instances, though, where that does not work because that emotional charge is so strong. And this is how we deal with that, with those instances, okay? So let's talk about, the 4 needs. They're also cravings, but the 4 needs of the wounded ego. Let's see, where's my little thing at? So for this part, you guys, if you have not paused the video, go watch that. Please do that. Pause this video, go to the description box and watch that Releasing the Wants video before you go any further, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna end up probably dismissing this whole thing just because you're not understanding how, what, and why it works. Yeah, because that's just how the mind is, okay? The mind, basically, if you don't let it know who, what, when, why, and where, then it doesn't give you enough leverage to actually want to stick things through, okay? So this is where we go over the 4 needs, 4 cravings. Basically, it says 4 needs of the ego, but I'm going to say the wounded ego, because ego in and of itself is not a bad thing. Ego is kind of like, that's how you know not to move in front of a moving vehicle. Ego in and of itself is not bad. The only thing with the ego at this point in time that you may have is actually thinking that, you are your body, you are your mind, you are your feelings and your emotions, and the 3D reality is more real than what is going on in your imaginal acts room, okay? So when we start releasing and start clearing out these needs and these cravings, we heal the ego, okay? An ego can actually be really good for us. It was never intended for it to be, wounded or toxic. That's just part of, whatever it was programmed with. And, a lot of our programming is set in place by the age of 7. So I just want to clear that up right now. A lot of people want to kind of villainize the ego. There's nothing wrong with the ego itself. It's what it has been programmed with, okay? Ego is actually needed. All right, anyway, so the 4 needs and the 4 cravings of the ego, of the wounded ego, is love and connection. And why do I say the wounded ego? Because your ego will understand and it will get on board with knowing that it doesn't need an SP in order to feel accepted, or it doesn't need A, B, C, D, and E in order to feel a certain kind of way. Your ego will get on board. There has to be some things in place. Okay, so we're gonna heal. This is like the way we heal the ego. All right, we bring everything into alignment. It's the coolest thing ever. Anyway, let's get back on track. We got love and connection. So under love and connection, you can think of feeling accepted, feeling approved of. You feel like you belong. You feel understood. That also comes when you feel like you're merging with somebody, you're becoming one. Okay, the opposite flip side of that coin is going to be feeling abandoned. Okay, this is what we're not wanting to feel, but in the same category. We don't want to feel abandoned. We don't want to feel alone, rejected, disconnected, anything else that would fit in that category. We also have significance, and here we want to feel important. We want to feel worthy, validated. We want to feel chosen, like we're number one, top priority. It's all about, we also want to feel seen and set apart from, extraordinary and stuff like that. The flip side of that would be like, we don't matter. We don't want to feel like that. We don't want to feel like we're non-existent. We're invisible. We don't want to feel rejected. We don't want to feel like trash, like a, POS. We don't want to feel unworthy and things of that nature. Then we also have certainty, where that talks more about like a sense of control, feeling secure in your environment. When we talk about safety and stuff like that, you guys, it's more than just knowing that your bills are going to be paid and you know where your next meal is going to come from. You also want to know that your mind and your heart are safe, especially in terms of personal, intimate relationships. You want to know that you can trust the person that you're with, right? It's also about feeling comfortable. We like for things to feel predictable. A lot of the times it's like, we just want to know that we're okay. Everything's all right. You know what I mean? What we don't want to feel is powerless or unsafe. We don't want to feel threatened. We don't want to be in the sense of unknowing. Okay. We also don't want to feel at risk or in danger or vulnerable, but in a dangerous way. There's nothing wrong with feeling vulnerable, but there are times when you feel vulnerable in a dangerous situation. Okay, we don't want to feel that way. We want to know that we're safe. And then there's also variety. So variety, it's like freedom. We want freedom. Freedom for what? I mean, it can be freedom from anything. It can be a freedom to choose. We want to know we have options. We also like to feel alive inside. We like to feel a sense of excitement, things being fun, things being unpredictable. We want to feel limitless or uninhibited, independent. What we don't want to feel trapped. We don't want to feel limited. We don't want to feel numb, restricted, stuck, codependent, things like that. Okay, so those are the 4 needs of the ego. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because this is what is driving everything that you want and everything that you don't want, including manifesting an SP. The only reason why you want your SP is because you believe, okay, that they are the only way you're going to be able to feel a myriad of these emotions. Okay, you have basically set your SP up on a pedestal and said, unless my SP shows up and does A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, then I'm never going to feel accepted. I'm never going to feel important. I'm never going to feel secure. I'm never going to feel alive inside, right? Unless my SP does whatever, you think they need to do, then there's no chance I'm ever going to feel this way. And that's where toxic attachments and aversions come from, because we've been lied to, okay, programmed with that belief to think that our ability to feel this way is contingent upon what someone is or is not doing. And that you guys right there, I actually want you to stop and I want you to write this down. That is the worst self-limiting belief that you could ever have, ever. The absolute worst limiting belief that you are carrying around with you right now is that the only way for you to feel loved and worthy and chosen and not feel abandoned, alone, and rejected is for your SP to do whatever it is you're wanting them to do, is for your SP to come back or call you or make contact. That is the worst limiting belief that you have right now. I'm just going to say that because it's true. Okay. So what we do and what this work essentially does, you guys, is it detaches your SP from the responsibility of being the sole, what do they call that, resource for you. in order to feel all of these things. Because the truth of the matter is, you guys, you are everything. Well, you know, not back here, but you are love already. Anybody that's ever dove into any kind of a spiritual teaching already knows that you're love. You're significant. How can you not be significant? You're the God of your reality. You created all of this. How can you not be the most important person in your life, right? And of course, you're certain and you have control. And then at the same time, you know, you are ultimately free to do what you will. The thing that is keeping you from being able to experience this part of yourself, though, this is your identity. You are love. You are significant. You are control and safe and secure. You are alive inside and you are free. That's your identity. But, you know, you've been conditioned over the years to think that that's not you. And these feeling states down here are not available to you unless 3D looks a certain kind of way. Okay, that's bullshit. I used to, and I'm not talking down on you guys, trust me. I've been through all of this before, okay? So now that we know what the 4 needs of the ego are, now we can actually get into the releasing the wants process, or releasing the emotional charge. We are gonna actually look at devastation here and take devastation through this process, okay? But we actually need to look at that feeling. Okay, because right now, devastation is feeling like a certain type of way. And actually, we don't have to break down the feeling quite yet. If it'll help you, you can. I'll teach you how to do it real quick. When you get really adept at this process, though, you can just take the feeling, however it's presenting itself in your body, in your mind, and just process it all out without having to break it down, okay? You can try that and see if it works for you. Like right now, let's try and see if you're able to do that. And again, if you have not watched the Releasing the Wands video, don't even bother with this step. You're not gonna get it. Maybe I don't want to set that assumption for you, but you know, if you haven't watched it yet, you're kind of holding off, go ahead and go through this and see if it helps. If it doesn't, it's because your mind isn't understanding it yet, okay? Your mind hasn't gotten on board. So let's take through, let's look at the releasing questions first. So the first releasing question is, can I welcome? Okay. And you can switch around the wording as you need to whatever you feel like connects you more or allows you to experience. Because what we are doing here, you guys, is we are actually allowing ourselves to feel devastated. Okay. And the reason why we are allowing ourselves to feel devastated, because this is an emotion. Yeah, there are some thoughts attached, but what is actually making you suffer, there is a really acute and visceral experience that you are having of devastation, and that is being amplified through emotion. Okay. And the way emotion works, you guys, like I said, it's different than mind-based, thought-based energy. The way emotion works is you have to feel it. You have to connect to it. You have to experience it. Okay. And a lot of people's bells and whistles and red flags are might be wanting to go off right now, because you're used to this teaching over here that's solely based on thought, where it's like, oh, well, you don't like the way you're thinking, just flip it around real quick. Just throw some, throw some affirmations at it, rampage it. It works for thought, doesn't work for emotion. Okay. The only way to get out of feeling devastated is by feeling through it, by allowing yourself to connect to it. Because right now what you're doing, especially if you are trying to throw affirmations at it and try to figure out ways to get out of feeling it without actually just feeling through it, you're making this stronger. That's called resistance. And resistance just makes what you're already feeling, it makes it stronger. Okay. And remember, emotion is energy in motion. It's meant to move through. When you are resisting it, you're actually holding on to it. You're not letting it pass through your energy. Okay. So feeling devastation, while it feels very challenging, could feel gut-wrenching, probably make you bawl your eyes out, okay? That is part of processing what you're feeling. Processing means you're letting it move through you. It's not getting stuck, okay? So the first question is, can I welcome this? The first question is going to allow you to really stop and acknowledge that this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling very devastated right now. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling gutted out. I'm feeling unwanted, unseen, neglected, whatever it is you're feeling. I'm fucking devastated right now, right? That's what question number one is. It's like, this is already here. A lot of people might look at welcome and think like, oh, am I inviting it in? No, you're already feeling devastated. What you're saying is I'm laying down the desire to want to fight it. I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm welcoming it. I'm allowing it to be here. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to allow myself to connect to it so I can actually experience it. I can feel it. And allow yourself to feel as devastated as you are feeling right now. And for a lot of you, that means an overwhelming wave and emotion coming through of pain and loss and misery, grief, crying, bawling your eyes out. Exhaustively, right? And that's fine. That's part of processing it out. Okay. And then other things that you can say is, can I allow this to be here? Can I permit it? Can I accept it? Can I connect with it? Can I be okay with this being here? Can I give it grace? Can I lovingly accept that I'm feeling this way? And the reason, again, why you do that, you guys, is because devastation, that energy, that pain has been in your subconscious this entire time. Your SP is just a manifestation of what you have been feeling this entire time. Okay? So the reason why you are allowing yourself to feel this is so you can get it out of your system, so you are no longer manifesting things in 3D reality to trigger up or reflect back to you what you've been feeling subconsciously this entire time. Okay? You can also say things like, I'm safe. It is safe for me to feel devastated. It's absolutely safe for you to feel this way. I know it feels, how do I want to say? I know it feels like it's going to destroy you. I guarantee you, though, it's not. Now, I will say, if you are somebody who deals with things on a very difficult level, you know, if you're having, how do I want to say it? I don't want to get dinged by YouTube, but you guys know what I'm talking about. If you have any ideation of not being here anymore because things are getting so intense in terms of emotion, and you don't know how to deal with it, take this video with you, or maybe go through this process when there is a licensed professional around that can monitor you. Okay. Because this is talking about allowing yourself to dive as deeply as you can into this energy called devastation. Okay. Because, depending on where you're at with your development, if you're going through something called a dark night of the soul, a dark night of the soul, pretty much you're kind of left in this void, and there is no hope for the future. It's a very dark place to be. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience. And unless you have the tools and you are well adept in the processes, it can be very difficult to dig yourself up out of that hole by yourself. This is why learning these tools are so important, because it snaps you up out of that. It breaks that hypnotic story that is keeping you stuck in that vacuum and in that void, so you can see the light again. So you can actually connect to a future, okay, and have hope, and not just hope, but a compelling vision towards the future. Okay, let's talk about the second step for this. Can I let go of wanting, of feeling, or needing? So Step number one, can I welcome? That's going to be for like maybe the aversion that you may be dealing with. Right now, you are highly averse to feeling devastated. Up to this point, prior to learning that it is okay for you to feel this emotion that is right now triggering and firing off your central nervous system. It's okay for you, right? But prior to that, you've been trying to create as far of a distance between you and this feeling right here through ways of maybe watching manifesting videos, maybe, you know, trying to rampage the feeling of devastation out, throwing affirmations at it, trying to flip it, trying to get rid of it through sightseeing and stuff like that, right? You're trying to create as much distance between you and this really devastated feeling state. So what question one does is it closes that gap. It says, okay, I'm done resisting what I'm feeling. I'm going to allow myself, I'm going to hug it out with devastation. I'm going to send love to this feeling of devastation. I'm going to accept that this is what I'm feeling right now. And I'm not going to try to change it. I'm not going to try to fight it. I'm not going to try to push it away, move it, stuff it down, numb it out, whatever. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to sit with it as long as I need to sit with it. And eventually what happens, you guys, and I believe they've actually measured it scientifically, it's like 90 seconds. If you are connecting to that feeling wholeheartedly, about 90 seconds is about as long as it takes. But if it's not, and you're realizing that you're going through this process and it's not going away, we're going to get into, you know, the reason why that is such a sticky feeling state. Okay. So yeah, the first step is going to be all about trying to close the gap between you and whatever it is you're not wanting to feel. Okay. Can I welcome? That deals with the aversion, the hyper aversion. Okay. Step number two deals with the toxic attachment. So while you are feeling devastated, there's something on the other side of that you are desperately trying to hold on to. It could be hope. I just want relief. I just want hope again. I just want to know that I'm going to be okay. I just want my SP back so I know I'm going to be okay, right? So, you know, while you're not wanting to feel devastated, you know, you can also, the flip side of that may be, can I let go of wanting to feel relief? Can I let go of wanting to change how I'm feeling? Can I let go of wanting to feel whole again, to feel loved again, to feel alive inside? Can I let go of wanting that? Because as I tell you guys in that video, think about the energy of wanting. This is coming from a space of a very hyper toxic attachment. When you are holding on to something, it is under the guise that what's going to happen if I don't have it? You're focused on not having it. And the feeling state, there's fear based in that, right? So you let go of wanting it so that you can actually experience it. You let go of wanting relief so that you can actually experience relief. And this is going to be a mind screw for a lot of you guys, because I told you a lot of the times we're at a default feeling state that is somewhere down here, okay? And in this book, the book that talks about this is Power versus Force. This is why I'm saying this is such a cool tool for manifestation, because when you're up here, you know, 3D is naturally conforming. When you're down here, you know, when you're up here, you're not even really having to apply radical delusional faith. You're not having to rampage 10,000 affirmations. You know what I mean? Manifestation up here, manifesting what you want to experience, is effortless up here. Down here, it's a lot of work. Okay, this is why it's like this work is so important. We get you up to this state up here. That way you don't even have, who cares about manifesting techniques? You are love. So of course you're going to manifest love. Of course the 3D is going to reflect back to you that which you already feel on a regular basis, okay? So the reason why, you're dealing with devastation right now is because there's something going on. There's a default feeling state. Maybe it could just be in this one specific area of, romantic relationships. There's a default feeling state where you might be feeling unloved. You might be feeling worthy. And that's how you've been feeling unconsciously this entire time, right? There's a part of you that actually wants to feel devastated. Okay, and I'm not even going to say it's you. There is a subconscious program of devastation, and you have to remember that your subconscious, it's not sentient. It just is what it is. It doesn't know right from wrong, something is good or bad, something is harmful or helpful. It doesn't know. It's just programmed a certain way. And right now, you are programmed in a certain way. Okay, Neville Goddard called it impressed. Your subconscious is impressed with a certain feeling state that is leaving you feeling devastated, okay? So believe it or not, you may have a subconscious impression of wanting to feel devastated, wanting to feel unloved, wanting to feel rejected. And so you can say, can I let go of wanting to feel rejected? And there may be a certain point, like that may not resonate at all with you right now, and that's okay. If it doesn't, just do it, just do whatever it is you're actually attached to, okay? But there is something going on with your subconscious where you have a default feeling state that is subconsciously impressed, as Neville would put it, with feeling unworthy. So you could say, can I let go of wanting to feel unworthy? And believe it or not, that actually works, okay? You'll start to feel relief. And you'll know this is working, you guys. I don't want to say right, but it is what it is. You'll know that it's working because you will start to feel the energy lift. You feel devastation very acutely somewhere in your body. Okay, maybe you feel heaviness all over your body, and as you're processing and allowing yourself to sit with that energy and inside of it, you're connecting with it. You are immersing yourself in it, and you allow yourself to feel and experience it. It starts to finally lift and ease up. You start to feel relief, right? And try not to get caught up in, this is why I'm going through the releasing process. That's why I'm saying, can I welcome this without wanting to change it? If you are approaching this process with an agenda, that's resistance. Okay, you really have to get to a point within yourself and within your experience to make peace with this feeling of devastation, including I'm going to sit with this feeling as long as I need to. If it takes me 3 whole days, that's what I'll do. What people tend to do is they approach the releasing the wants process in the way that they do every other manifesting technique. They try to use this to feel better. And I get it, right? That's the biggest, what do they call that? It is a mind screw. But the whole thing is surrender, okay? You are surrendering to this is what you're feeling right now. And I'm going to sit in this, whether I feel it for 90 seconds or, whether I'm feeling relief from it in 3 days or however long it might take. And I will tell you guys, it may take, especially when you are brand new to this, you may have to ask yourself these questions 1,000 times. You will get so good at this, you guys, though. You'll get so good at it that oftentimes all you have to do is ask yourself the first 1 or 2 questions, and it's an instant relief. I'm talking devastated to the 100th degree, as devastated as you could feel. And the moment you allow yourself to feel it, to experience it, to connect with it, instant relief. Okay? Next we have, would I welcome or would I let go of if I could? So question number 3 is going to be for those of you who are still battling with a very wounded ego that is resisting this process, that is resisting wanting to feel devastated, resisting the wounded ego is trying to take control of this situation and is resisting wanting, so the wounded ego is wanting to change it, right? Wanting to make it go away, regardless of going through questions 1 and question 2. So question 3 is, would I welcome feeling devastated if I could? Would I welcome it? Would I allow it if I could? Would I accept it if I could? Would I forgive it? Would I be with it? Would I be okay with it? Would I feel safe with it if I could? Okay. And the reason why that is, see, all of this is releasing. The reasons why we're asking, can I? And we're not just barking orders at ourselves. We're not saying, I welcome. That's commanding, right? We all know that wounded egos don't do very well with commanding. But when you start asking questions, that gives your wounded ego a chance to open up and actually contemplate. And in that moment, that open area of contemplating, you are actually releasing you're releasing this charge. And the more familiar you get, the more adept you get in this process, that wounded ego, your ego, believe it or not, doesn't want to be wounded. It just is what it is. The only reason why you are striving as hard as you can, watching all these manifestation videos, your wounded ego is seeking relief. That's why it's doing everything that it can. The only thing, though, is that your wounded ego believes that that's the only way you can feel better. It's like, this is the only way I cannot feel devastated anymore. Right now, your wounded ego believes if I allow myself to feel this, it's never going to go away. But your ego is going to you're going to heal your ego so much to the point where it's going to be like, it's experienced relief through this process. It's experienced freedom through this process. And it's experienced safety, feeling safe, feeling in control with this process. And so the minute you ask it, can I? It's like, fuck yes, I can. And boom, you're relieved. You're feeling better. You're feeling okay. Okay. So the last question is when? When will I allow myself? When will I welcome? When will I let go? When will I? And any question or any answer, you guys, no matter what your answers are to these, it's all releasing. You can come from a space of saying, can I welcome feeling devastated? And your honest to God answer is no. Wish I could, but I can't. You're still releasing. The fact that you are allowing your wounded ego a space to contemplate it even is allowing some of that devastation energy to escape out. So you're still processing, okay? Even when your wounded ego is like being stubborn, okay? So just keep going through this. And I promise you guys, at some point, you will have released enough devastation, you will feel the shift. You will feel it. You will feel it lighten. You'll feel it lift. You'll feel it process out. You will feel relief, okay? Now, I know some of you are very determined manifestors, especially when it comes to SPs. If you have been very determined with your affirmations and doing sat scenes and doing your rampaging and whatever else you've been doing, okay, apply that same dogged determination to this process. You're actually going to be able to get what you want, and it's going to be in your control, okay? Because you're going to learn how to feel loved and accepted and connected no matter what is going on in your 3D. You don't have to worry about feeling loved because you are love. You don't have to worry about feeling significant and feeling important because you are important already. You're the most important thing in your reality. You're not going to have to worry about being in control because you are the creator of everything. Of course you're in control of it. And you're not going to have to worry about feeling alive inside. You can manifest whatever experience you want. And in order for you to get to that point, that's going to require you to let go and release a lot of your attachments, your aversions, and your thought patterns and your self-limiting beliefs. One of the biggest ones, like I said earlier, one of the worst self-limiting beliefs that you have is that you need your SP in order to feel whole. That is the worst self-limiting, or anything. The worst self-limiting belief that you have is believing that you need, maybe whatever it is. You need a certain kind of job in order to feel important. the worst kind of limiting belief is to think or to believe that 3D needs to look a certain kind of way in order for you to experience life in the way that you want to experience. And the way that you experience life, you guys, really is through emotional states. That's it. And you can master it through this way. Okay, let's see. So, this is going to be a long ass video. Oh, well, you know, it is what it is. I'm not sorry. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what to do, because a lot of the times, you guys, embedded inside of this feeling state of devastation, we've just been dealing with the emotional part of it, right? But inside of this feeling state of devastation could be a whole host of thoughts and belief patterns and stories of yourself that you have been hypnotized under for God knows how long, okay? Goodness knows, or whatever. You know how long. And so you're going to have some thoughts like this feeling state of devastation is going to pull up the thoughts that have been glued, okay, or set or impressed inside of it. And so a thought that may be coming up as far as devastation goes. So we're going to talk about, you know, your SP leaving you for a third party. Right? You guys, I'm getting tired. I'm tired. How is that making you feel? Okay, let's go back to our feeling states. Where did they go? We're over here. Okay, well, again, yeah, we're feeling devastated, right? And why is this devastating you? What are you making this mean? What are you making it mean for you? You know, some of you might feel like, well, I'm not worthy, or the third party is better than me. SP isn't choosing me. We'll put that one down. SP isn't choosing, did I just write that wrong? Isn't choosing me. Third party is better than me. So we're looking at beliefs that are being brought up by feeling devastated, okay? And what you're thinking to yourself, or the thoughts that are popping up that are really kind of aggravating and perpetuating this feeling state of devastation is going to be like, okay, thoughts like SP isn't choosing me, the third party is better than me. And underneath this third party is better than me, you may have a list or a host of thoughts attached to that. Like, the third party is better than me because they make more money. They come from a better family. They are younger than me. Third party is better than me because they're thinner, they're more fit, they make more money, whatever, okay? And this is where you get to really reframe that experience, okay? If you have something like the third party is better than me because whatever that condition may be, we'll just say the third party is better than me because maybe you feel like they're more attractive than you. What you really have to stop and look at and be like, really, is that, so your belief about yourself really is like, well, I'm not worthy because, you know, I'm not as attractive. And what you start to do is you start to look at everybody, you know, is there anybody on planet Earth where they are super attractive, freaking, you know, Instagram models and supermodels and all this stuff, gorgeous, right? With all the money in the world, and they're being cheated on and left for other people left and right. I mean, have you experienced or seen, right, someone leaving someone that is so gorgeous for someone that's not as gorgeous? Happens all the time. And so you're able to really look at that and be like, okay, that's not really the issue. Okay, the third party is not better than me because they're more attractive. That's not it at all. Okay, and then you can look at things like the third party is better than me because, you know, they're thinner. Same thing applies here. How many couples do you meet or do you know of, you know, where one of them is very overweight and they're with the love of their life? Happens all the time. Or how many times have you seen someone who was, you know, really thin and you know, built like a shit brick house, and then for whatever reason, probably because of a shitty personality, You know what I mean? Get left for somebody who rarely goes to the gym at all, okay? None of the things that you are saying about yourself are true, okay? What you're saying is that I'm not worthy of my SP because, you know, or the third party is better than me because they're more attractive, because they make more money, because of this and because of that. And a lot of the times we're thinking about things like this, and these are things about ourselves that can actually be changed. Like, we have control for the most part over, you know, what we weigh, over how much money we make, how, you know, we can even increase the level of our attractiveness. Oh my gosh. You know, the more you start to release through a lot of these really heavy feeling states, you'll be surprised at how your outer appearance starts to change. And I'm not just talking about, you know, yeah, you'll lose weight, you'll have so much more energy to do what you need to do to, you know, take care of yourself physically and blah, 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 blah. You actually start to glow. There's just an energy that emanates from outside of you. And I've noticed this myself. I've, you know, come across people who aren't, you know, that attractive according to societal standards, and they are drawing in romantic interest left and right. And when I mean they're drawing in romantic interest, I mean like they're just at the gas station pumping gas and they've got people coming up to them, want their number. It's not what's going on in 3D, okay? It's your own energy. This is why self-concept work is so important. You need to really let go of this belief that the third party is better than you because XYZ. It's not true. Okay, the only thing that the third party may have over you is their self-concept about themselves may be better than yours. That's it. Okay, and chances are, you guys, remember, you have no idea what's happening behind the scenes at all. When I was going through my my third party, when I was going through my manifesting an SP back and removing the third party, okay, 3D was showing me that the third party was perfect for my SP. The 3D was showing me that they were beautiful, they were super attractive, they made all this money and blah, 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 blah. You know, and some of that was true, okay? As you know, some of that was true, but it didn't matter because ultimately the third party's energy, this is what I didn't know, the third party's energy and their vibe was actually really fucking crappy. Okay, so you have no idea what's happening behind the scenes while you are, quote unquote, manifesting an SP. This is why having radical delusional faith, and we're going to get into that, okay? Having radical delusional faith is so important. And I wish I would have actually talked about this part first. It's all right, but we're going to talk about having radical delusional faith. And grace the fuck out of, okay? So when you are dealing with manifesting something, or you are dealing with a certain feeling state, because you are going to be able to chip away at this feeling of devastation to a certain point where you're going to be able to ask yourself, can I get out of this feeling simply by changing what it is I'm thinking? Or do I need to, you know, submit and allow and surrender to the emotion, right? Do I change or do I rest? Which one is it going to be, right? And so sometimes, like I said, when you are manifesting an SP, it can require you to have radical delusional faith. One of the things that I had to tell myself was, you know, when the 3D was showing me that that my old SP, my ex, was so in love with the third party, radical delusional faith was like, no, they're not. They can't stand the third party. What are you talking about? They think the third party is so flaky and fake and ugh. You know, that's having radical delusional faith. Okay? That is, you know, and I talk about this in one of my other videos where it's like, you know, what you're doing when you're manifesting anything is you are supposed to be disconnecting from 3D, right? And anchoring yourself into the reality, the desired reality that you actually want to flesh out. So radical delusional faith sometimes is going to require you to see evidence in the 3D, like, you know, your SP posting pictures of them and the third party on social media somewhere. Radical delusional faith is going to be like, oh, I just saw them post that they broke up. Oh my God. You know what I mean? That's having radical delusional faith. And you'll be able to do that, right? A radical delusional faith can also be, you know, can I shoot some affirmations at it? Can I rampage at it, right? To feel better. Sometimes you can't. And that's when you have to, you know, I call this, you know, so we got RDF up here. So when we got thought charged with an emotion, can you RDF it, or do you need to, you know, GTF it, grace the fuck out of it, right? And I say grace because, yeah, we are kind of, you know, we're up here with, you know, can I welcome, you know, or can I accept, can I, you know, permit, can I allow? And sometimes we meet whatever it is we're feeling kind of with a hesitation. Which, you know, as long as you're meeting whatever it is you're feeling, you are releasing, okay? Sometimes, though, we approach or we meet what it is we're feeling with hesitation. Could be with animosity. Could be we're meeting it in the energy of feeling scared. We're, you know, meeting it in the energy of doubt. Like, you know, can I welcome this? Can I allow it? And then when you think about what grace is, okay, for those of you who aren't familiar with the term grace, it's almost like it's more than just permitting. It's more than just allowing. Think about the way a parent, you know, and this could apply for, you know, parents of human babies or parents of, you know, fur babies. But think about a parent who is, you know, going through the very first stages of development with their babies and they're just learning how to walk, right? Loving grace is lovingly accepting that your baby or that feeling state is at where it's at, and you're, you know, and you're not trying to rush it along. It's loving acceptance, loving allowance, and loving understanding, right? That's grace. And the reason why I bring up grace is because when you are able to meet whatever it is you're feeling, not with just acceptance or allowance, but with loving allowance and loving acceptance, you open it up so that all of it can just process out all at once. And I don't know, you guys, it took me a while to get to that point, but then again, you know, everything that I'm teaching you, I learned through trial and error. You know what I mean? And so I want you to try that. You know, can I lovingly allow myself to feel devastated as I do, and see if it helps you out more? Okay. So when we are coming up against any kind of really challenging feeling state, emotion, you know, the emotional charge, whatever it is we're feeling, you know, is it something that you can just throw some affirmations at? Is it something that you can just reframe and go on about your day? Is it something that you can rampage out, or, you know, go to a sat scene and neutralize or whatever? If it's not, okay, then you're going to have to grace the fuck out of it. You're going to have to love it till it's gone. Okay. Love it to death. All right. Do you RDF it, or do you GTF it? All right. I think, you guys, we are at almost, I will say, and this video is already getting long as it is. There's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and just start wrapping up the video. Okay. So we'll go back to, let's say one of your thoughts is SP doesn't want me. Did I really just write that wrong? SP doesn't want me. Okay, so for this process, I want you to check out a book. It's linked in the description box below, or you can even look it up maybe online or, you know, on YouTube. Byron Katie, The Work, okay, because this is where I got this line of questioning from. It's different from the releasing process, because The Work through Byron Katie deals with reframing the thoughts turning the thoughts around, seeing things from a different angle. Okay, it helps to RDF things a little bit more. All right, the 4 questioning process, the releasing the want process, is all about releasing the emotional charge. All right, so you have a thought that SP doesn't want me that is really kind of keeping you anchored in this feeling state of devastation. Right? And so when the thought SP doesn't want me pop up, what you want to do is you want to take it through something called the turnarounds. So the turnarounds is going to be to the self, which would be, I don't want me. And when you look at it, you guys, you really go back and look at, you know, all the reasons why you think that that the third party is better than you. The third party is better than me because, you know, I'm not as attractive as they are. I don't make as much money as they do, and blah, 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 blah. You'll actually start to see, you know, SP doesn't want me, but I really don't want me. I don't want me either. You know what I mean? Because remember, your SP and the behavior and the experience of your SP with the third party is simply reflecting back to you what you're already feeling. You already feel that, you know, you're not attractive enough. This is why you feel threatened, whether you're conscious of it or not. This is why things pop up and hit you out of left field, because you're dealing with things that are a subconscious feeling state, right? And so when you start to really break this down, you look at it and you're like, you know what? I don't want me. I don't want me because I think I'm, you know, too overweight. I don't want me because I think I didn't make anything on myself. I don't want me because I've got a criminal record, or I have, you know, a sketchy past, or I have, you know, trauma in my childhood, or whatever it may be. I don't want me because I can't have kids, or I don't want me because A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever the conditions that you've attached on your ability or your deservability to be loved, right? You don't even want you. That's where you're going to be able to look at like, oh, okay, now I know what limiting beliefs about myself. Now I know what to clean up, right? So you got to the self, to the opposite. And to the opposite would be SP does want me. And the thing about programming, you guys, is that it's really good at deleting evidence to the contrary. You have a narrative, right? A subconscious narrative that says I'm unworthy because whatever your condition may be. So anything that comes up against that narrative can be right in front of your face and you don't see it. You don't recognize it. Okay? When I was going through this process myself, and this may not resonate for you at all, because one of the things that you have to do when you're going through the turnarounds is you want to find evidence, at least 3 things, right? What evidence do you have of you not wanting you? You know, I don't think I'm worthy, or I think I'm unattractive, I'm overweight, and I don't make enough money. And then, you know, you start doing the work around dismantling yourself from your attachments to those stories. But the whole thing here is your SP is simply reflecting back to you what it is you feel for yourself. Your SP doesn't want you because you don't want you. The minute you start wanting yourself, your SP is going to conform and reflect back to you all the things you love about yourself, right? Why do you love you? What makes you amazing? What makes you irreplaceable? Okay, that's your homework. All right, SP doesn't want me, or SP does want me, sorry. So to the opposite is SP does want me. And this was actually true for me when I was going through, you know, even though my SP was in a third party situation, believe it or not, he was still showing signs to me that there were still feelings there. And even when he was actively seeing somebody else, prior to that happening, he tried very hard to make things work with me. Okay, now this isn't going to resonate for everybody, but like I said, if you can find evidence, look for evidence that your SP does want you. okay? You can change your mind about what you're thinking and how you're feeling about this. To the other is the other one. To the other would be, I don't want my SP. And like I said, some things are going to resonate for you, some things may not. When I was going through this myself, this actually resonated with me. When I stopped and really thought about it, I'm like, you know, we don't get along. We don't have a lot in common. We don't share a lot of the same interests. You know, we don't have a lot of fun together. We don't click, right? And I was like, I really don't like who my SP is as a person. Like, they're not, like, if I wasn't so highly toxically attached to this person, like, even when I was attached, I didn't like them as a person, you know? And I didn't realize that until I went through this process. I had a list of things I didn't want about my SP, and I really was like, I actually don't want them. And I could tell that too, because after I would manifest them back, and when we were in a functioning relationship, I was very kind of blah about it, right? And so this really helped me to refocus my energy on what was truly going on. I had to stop and ask myself, if I really don't like my SP as a person, why am I feeling so driven to get them back, right? And so, like I said, that was true for me. It could be true for you. Maybe it's not. You won't know though until you go through this process. And it did take me a minute when I was first going through this, because I was so entranced by my toxic attachment to him. All I could think about is not having him and how that made me feel. Okay? Going through this process broke that spell. All right? Broke the spell. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna go ahead and end the video there. There's a lot more, you guys, to this process. This is like a really brief summary on both accounts as far as, you know, releasing the wants goes and doing the work goes. Don't stop here, okay? Especially if you are still having a hard time feeling devastated. Continue, become a student of learning how to master your emotional energy and your mental energy. Learn how to, you know, become a master of, you know, having radical delusional faith, if, you know, when it comes time for it, and learning how to grace the fuck out of your, whatever it is you're feeling. When you master those things, you guys, your life is going to be so easy. It's not going to matter what's happening in 3D at all. At all. You're not going to give two shits about what your SP is or is not doing, because you're not anchored anymore in the 3D version of them. You're anchored in, you know, this ultimate reality, what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls your future, right? Your imaginal acts room, where you are imagining into reality what it is you actually want to experience. You're anchoring yourself here long enough so that the two can merge. And what you are experiencing in your 3D is now what you have been imagining in your imaginal acts room. Your future now becomes your present, if that makes sense. All right, you guys. Okay, I know this was a long video. Thank you for sticking with me, you guys, and for, you know, giving me your time and your support. Thank you so much for all of your kind comments and your loving words on my channel. Thank you for doing everything that you're doing to support me. I really, really appreciate it. So make sure you're hitting that like button if it resonated. Definitely comment below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have any questions. I try to interact and engage as much as I can. Definitely subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and then definitely share. You guys, get this information out there. It's the missing piece to a lot of the puzzles that people are missing as far as manifestation goes. All right, let's help get this information out there, because it's amazing. All right, I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys at the next video. Yeah, take care. I love you guys so much.